Hold on there just a minute. It's not all doom and gloom on this channel. Today we're going to take a fond look back at one of our childhood favorites from the 1960s. It's a movie I hope you've seen. It stars Don Knotts.
One of my favorite movies growing up in the 1960s starred Don Knotts, Joan Staley, Liam Redmond, and Dick Sargent, among others. It was titled The Ghost of Mr. Chicken, which was sort of a comical play on words on the 1947 movie The Ghost of Mrs. Muir. This movie has all the elements you would expect, like a haunted house and mysterious organ that plays itself with blood-stained keys that Bon Ami couldn't even get clean. And who can forget the great music by Vic Mizzy that really made the movie what it is? Sorry, copyrights prevent me from playing any of it. After Don Knotts left the Andy Griffith Show, he signed a multi-picture deal with Universal Pictures. The idea for the movie sprung from an episode of the Griffith Show called Haunted House. In this episode, Barney, Otis, Gomer, and Andy enter a so-called haunted house looking for Opie's baseball. Of course, nobody played nervous or scared better than Don Knotts. The director of Mr. Chicken, Alan Rafkin, as well as the writers Jim Fritzell and Everett Greenbaum, had worked on the Griffith Show, so they knew what they were doing with Don. In fact, many of the actors in Mr. Chicken were also from the Griffith Show, including Hal Smith, Rita Shaw, Hope Summers, Burt Mustin, and Charles Lane. In addition, several other familiar actors are seen, like Ellen Corby, who was later on The Waltons, also Sandra Gould and Dick Sargent, who were on Bewitched. Many people have mistaken the facade for the Simmons Mansion as the same as the Munsters' home, but it was next door to it. That facade was seen years later in the TV series Desperate Housewives. While filming The Ghost of Mr. Chicken, Don Knotts was a little worried about how the movie was turning out, so he had an uncredited script consultant come in and help out. None other than Andy Griffith himself came to the rescue, punching up the script. One of the funniest scenes in the film is when Don, as his character Luther Heggs, gives a speech at the Chamber of Commerce picnic. Don goes right into his nervous man bit to hilarious effect. During the speech, someone yells out, "Attaboy, Luther!" This inspired a short-lived public craze for yelling out, "Attaboy, Luther!" during speeches and other situations. The Farrelly brothers used the same joke in their movie Kingpin in 1996. The Ghost of Mr. Chicken earned over $1 million during its first week of release back in 1965, making it the #1 top-grossing movie that week. Don went on to star in The Reluctant Astronaut, The Shakiest Gun in the West, The Love God, and How to Frame a Fig for Universal. They were all pretty good, but none compared to The Ghost of Mr. Chicken, which in my opinion is right up there with Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. Of course, Don Knotts later went on to be Mr. Furley on Three's Company and other films like The Apple Dumpling Gang. Sadly, Don Knotts died on February 24, 2006 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center from pneumonia and lung cancer. He was only 81 years old. He is buried at the Cemetery of the Stars, Westwood Village Memorial Cemetery in Los Angeles, California. He has a wonderful monument at his grave highlighting his stellar career.
What was your favorite Don Knotts movie? Maybe it was The Incredible Mr. Limpet. Leave it in the comments down below, and I'll see you again next time, unless I come to my own sad ending.